Good evening. It is April 27th, and tonight we are going to be reading from Judges 7 1 through 8 17, Luke 23 13 through 43, and Psalms 97 1 through 98 9, Proverbs 14 7 and 8. Well, that's my reminder. Very nice. Let's make sure my other alarms are not going to go off. Apologize. So if you have not um, subscribed yet, click that subscribe button. Greatly appreciate it. So we like to do the Lord's Prayer every evening before we get started. So, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, the glory forever and ever. Amen. Judges 7 1 through 8 17. Jerubbaal, Gideon, got up early the next morning, all his troops right there with him. They set up camp at Herod's spring. The camp of Midian was in the plain north of them near the hill of Morin. God said to Gideon, "You have too large of an army with you. I can't turn Midian over to them like this." You have too large an army with you. I can't turn Midian over to them like this. They'll take all the credit saying I did it all myself and forget about me. Make a public announcement. Anyone afraid? Anyone who has qualms at all may leave Mount Gilead now and go home. 22 companies headed for home. 10 companies are left. Wow. God said to Gideon, "There are still too many. Take them down to the stream, and I'll make the final cut. When I say this one goes with you, he'll go. When I say this one doesn't go, he won't go." So Gideon took the troops down to the stream. God said to Gideon, "Everyone who laps with his tongue the way a dog laps, set on one side, and everyone who kneels to drink, drinking with his face to the water, set on the other side." 300 lapped with their tongues from their cupped hands. The rest knelt to drink. God said to Gideon, "I'll use the 300 men who lapped at the stream to save you and give Midian into your hands. All the rest may go home." After Gideon took all their provisions and trumpets, he sent all the Israelites home. He took up his position with the 300. The camp of Midian stretched out below him in the valley. That night, God told Gideon, "Get up and go down to the camp. I've given it to you. If you have any doubts about going down, go down with Purah, your armor bearer. When you hear what they're saying, you'll be bold and confident." He and his armor bearer Purah went down near the place where sentries were posted, Midian and Amalek. All the Easterners were spread out on the plain like swarms of locusts, and their camels, past counting like grains of sand on the seashore. Gideon arrived just in time to hear a man tell his friend a dream. He said, "I had this dream. A loaf of barley bread tumbled into the Midianite camp. It came to the tent, and it hit so hard it collapsed. The tent fell." His friend said, "That has to be the sword of Gideon, son of Joash, the Israelite. God has turned Midian, the whole camp, over to him." When Gideon heard them telling of the dream and its interpretation, he dropped to his knees before God in prayer. Then he went back to the Israelite camp and said, "Get up and get going. God has just given us the Midianite army." Midianites. Oh, that's Mennonites. I was thinking Gideon and Mennonites. I was thinking, where's the correlation there? He divided the 300 men into 3 companies. He gave each man a trumpet and an empty jar with a torch in the jar. He said, "Watch me and do what I do. When I get to the edge of the camp, do exactly what I do. When I and those around me blow the trumpets, you also, all around the camp, blow your trumpets and shout for God and for Gideon." Gideon and his 100 men got to the edge of the camp at the beginning of the middle watch, just after the sentries had been posted. They blew their trumpets, and at the same time smashing their jars they carried. All 3 companies blew their trumpets and broke the jars. They held the torches in their left hands and the trumpets in their right hands, ready to blow, and shouted, "A sword for God and for Gideon." They were stationed all around the camp, each man at his post. The whole Midianite camp jumped to its feet. They yelled and fled. When the 300 blew the trumpets, God aimed each Midianite's sword against his companion all over the camp. They ran for their lives to Beth Shittah, okay, towards Zerah, to the border of Abel Abel Mola near Tabeth. Israelites rallied from Naphtali, from Asher, and from the Manasseh. They had Midian on the run. Gideon then sent messengers through all the hill country of Ephraim, urging them come down against Midian, capture the fords of the Jordan at Beth Bara. So all the men in Ephraim rallied and captured the fords at the Jordan of Beth Bara. They also captured the two Midianite commanders, Oreb Raven and Zeb Wolf. Oreb, I guess, means raven, and Zeb means wolf. They killed Oreb and Raven Rock. Zeb, they killed the wolf winepress, and they pressed the pursuit of Midian. They brought the heads of Oreb and Zeb to Gideon across the Jordan. Then the Ephraimite, Ephraimites, afraid of, wow, that's a word. Ephraimites said to Gideon, "Why did you leave us out of this, not calling on us when we might fight Midian?" They were indignant and let him know. But Gideon replied, "What I have done compared to you? Why, even the gleanings of the Ephraim are superior in the vintage of Abiezer. God gave you Midian's command, Oreb and Zeb. What have I done compared with you?" When they heard this, they calmed down and cooled off. Gideon and his 300 arrived at the Jordan and crossed. They were bone tired, but still pressing the pursuit. He asked the men of Succoth, "Please give me some loaves of bread for my troops. I have with me, they're worn out, and I'm hot on the trail of Zebah and Zalmunna, the Midianite kings." But the leaders of the Succoth said, "You're on a wild goose chase. Why should we help you on a fool's errand?" Gideon said, "If you say so, but when God gives me Zubah and Zalmunna, I'll give you a thrashing, whip you bare flesh with desert thorns and thistles." He went from there to Peniel and made the same request. The men of Peniel, like the men of Succoth, also refused. Gideon told them, "When I return safe and sound, I'll demolish this tower." Zebah and Zalmunna were in the Karkor with an army of about 15 companies, all that was left in the fighting force of the Easterners. They had lost 120 companies of soldiers. Good Lord. Gideon went up to the caravan trail east of Nobah and Jogbeh and found and attacked the undefeated camp. Zebah and Zalmunna fled, and he chased and captured the two kings of Midian. The whole camp had panicked. Gideon's son Joash returned from the battle by way of Herez Pass. He captured a young man from Succoth and asked the same question. The young man wrote down the names of the officials and the leaders of Succoth, 77 men. Then Gideon went to the men of Succoth and said, "Here are the wild geese, Zebah and Zalmunna. You said, 'I'll never catch.' You wouldn't give me so much as a scrap of bread to my worn out men. You taunted us, saying that we were on a fool's errand." Then he took the 77 leaders of Succoth and thrashed them with the desert thistle and thorns. And he demolished the tower of Peniel and killed the men of the city. Good Lord. Judges 7:1 through 8:17. Gideon's 300 and the aftermath. I don't know if this is where the movie 300 came from, but I guess it kind of makes sense. God intentionally shrinks Gideon's army from thousands to 300. So there's no confusion. The victory is God's, not man's. They win with strategy, obedience, and faith, not strength. But then Gideon chases recognition from men. Ephraim conflict, Succoth Penuel revenge. The lesson says God will reduce your resources to reveal his power, but don't let victory turn into pride or payback. Luke 23:13 through 43. Then Pilate called in the high priest, rulers, and the others and said, "You brought this man to me as a disturber of the peace. I examined him in front of you all and found that there's nothing to your charge. And neither did Herod, for he sent him back here with a clean bill of health. It's clear that he's done nothing wrong. Let alone anything deserving death. I'm going to warn him to watch his step and let him go." At that, the crowd went wild. "Kill him. Give us Barabbas." Barabbas had been thrown into prison for starting a riot in the city and for murder. Pilate still wanted to let Jesus go, so he spoke out again, but they kept shouting back, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" He tried a third time, but for what crime? "I found nothing in him deserving death. I'm going to warn him to watch his step and let him go." But they kept at it, a shouting match demanding that he be crucified. And finally, they shouted him down. Pilate caved in and gave them what they wanted. He released the man thrown in prison for rioting and murder and gave them Jesus to do whatever they wanted. As they led him off, they made Simon, a man from Cyrene, who happened to be coming in from the countryside, carry the cross behind Jesus. A huge crowd of people followed, along with women weeping and carrying on. At one point, Jesus turned to the women and said, "Daughters of Jerusalem, don't cry for me. Cry for yourselves and for your children. The time is coming when they'll say, 'Lucky the women who never conceived. Lucky the wombs that never gave birth. Lucky the breasts that never gave milk.' Then they all started calling on the mountains, 'Fall down on us,' calling to the hills, 'Cover us up.' If people do these things to live green tree, to a live green tree, looks like live. Can you imagine what they'll do to the dead wood?" Two others, both criminals, were taken along with him for execution. When they got to the place called Skull Hill, they crucified him, along with the criminals, one on the right and one on the left. Jesus prayed, "Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing." Divided up his clothes, they threw dice for them. The people stood there staring at Jesus, and the ringleaders made faces, taunting. "He saved others. Let's see him save himself. The Messiah of God. Ha! The chosen. Ha!" The soldiers also came up and poked fun at him, making a game of it. They toasted him with sour wine. "So you're king of the Jews. Save yourself." Printed over him was a sign that says, "This is the king of the Jews." One of the criminals hanging along cursed him. "Some Messiah you are. Save yourself. Save us." But the other one made him shut up. "Have you no fear of God? You're getting the same as him. We deserve this, but not him. He did nothing to deserve this." Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you enter your kingdom." He said, "Don't worry, I will. Today you will join me in paradise." Luke 23:13 through 43, Jesus, Barabbas, and the cross. The crowd chooses Barabbas, a guilty man, over Jesus, the innocent Son of God. That's the human condition in one scene. Jesus is crucified, mocked, and still says, "Father, forgive them." Then a criminal beside him believes, and Jesus promises, "Today you'll be with me in paradise." And the lesson says, grace isn't earned, it's received. Even at your worst moment, faith in Jesus changes everything instantly. Excuse me. Psalms 97:1 through 98:9. God rules, there's something to shout over. On the double, mainlands and islands celebrate. Bright clouds and storm clouds circle round him. Right and justice anchor his rule. Fire blazes out of him before him, flaming high on the craggy mountains. His lightnings light up the world. Earth, wide-eyed, trembles in fear. The mountains take one look at God and melt like wax before Earth's Lord. The heavens announce that he'll set everything else right, and everyone will see it happen. Glorious. All who serve handcrafted gods will be sorry, and they will be so proud of their ragamuffin gods. On your knees, all your gods, worship him. And Zion, you listen and take heart. Daughters of Zion, sing your hearts out. God has done it all. He set everything right. You, God, are high God of the cosmos, far and far higher than any other gods. God loves all who hate evil, and those who love him he keeps safe, snatches them from the grip of the wicked. Light seeds are planted in the souls of God's people. Light as in Light. Oh, that's good. Light seeds are planted in the souls of God people. Joy seeds are planted in good hearted soil. So God's people shout praise to God, give thanks to our holy God, sing to God a brand new song. He's made a world of wonders. He rolled up his sleeves. He set things right. God made history with salvation. He showed the world what he could do. He remembered to love us, a bonus to his dear family, Israel. Indefeatable, indefatigable love. Never heard of that word before. I gotta look that up. The whole earth comes to attention. Look, God's work of salvation. Shout your praises to God, everybody. Let loose and sing. Strike up the band. Round up the orchestra to play for God. Add on 100 voice choir. Feature trumpets and big trombones. Fill the air with praises of God's King. Let the sea and the fish give round of applause, with everything living on earth joining in. Let ocean breakers call out encore, and mountains harmonize the finale. a tribute of God where he comes, when he comes to set the earth right. He'll straighten out the whole world. He'll put the world right and everyone in it. Right now is Psalms 97 1 through 98 9. God reigns, rejoice. This is a celebration of God as king over all the earth. Creation responds, lightning mountains melt, seas roar, and everything points to his glory. The right response, joy, worship, and righteous living. The lesson says if God truly reigns in your life, it should show up in your joy and how you live, not just what you say. Proverbs 14 7 and 8. Escape quickly from the company of fools. They're a waste, they're a waste of time, a waste of your words. The wisdom of the wise keeps life on track. The foolishness of fools lands them in a ditch. Squeaky chair, sorry. So the breakdown of Proverbs 14 7 and 8, wisdom versus foolishness. Walk away from fools. You won't gain anything there. Wise people think ahead and choose the right path. Fools deceive themselves and stay lost. Your direction in life is shaped by your decisions, and your decisions are shaped by your wisdom. If no one told you today, I love you. I appreciate you. Like and subscribe, and we'll get some more people on here. We try to keep these between maybe 13 and 20 minutes. I do appreciate you. We will see you tomorrow night. It'll be April 28th. You all have a better than good evening, and I love you. I love you. I love you. Thanks.